In the summer of 1996, a Canadian construction foreman became convinced that someone was trying to kill him. This crippling fear sent him on a frantic cross-country journey, a desperate flight from an enemy no one else could see. Tragically, his premonitions came true in the most bewildering way possible. In the words of the lead detective who found him, every single aspect of this case is mysterious. It's a story with no clear motive, no known enemies, and no logical explanation. It's a puzzle where every piece seems to come from a different box, leaving behind only the chilling story of a man who ran for his life, only to meet his end thousands of miles from home, surrounded by a fortune he never got to spend. A Canadian man, convinced he was being hunted, emptied his bank account and fled in terror across the United States. Days later, his half-naked body was found in a hotel parking lot, surrounded by thousands of dollars in cash. His death remains a complete mystery. Robert Dennis Blair Adams, who went by Blair, was by all accounts a pretty normal 31-year-old guy living in Surrey, British Columbia. He was a foreman for his stepfather's construction company, and he was good at his job. He had a past with substance abuse but had completely turned his life around. By 1996, he was 2 years sober and a regular at Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. Friends described him as cheery and friendly. He'd even recently returned from a job in Germany where he'd started a new relationship. Life seemed stable, even promising. But in the early summer of 1996, that stability started to crumble. A dark and disturbing change came over Blair Adams. His friendly demeanour was replaced by paranoia and erratic mood swings. He told his mother, Sandra Edwards, that something was terribly wrong. When she pushed him for details, he would only say, "I don't think I should tell you about it." To this day, nobody knows what it was. His behaviour grew more and more alarming. He suddenly stopped going to the AA meetings that had been so crucial to his sobriety. At work, the once reliable foreman became careless, even leaving job sites unlocked. He told his worried co-workers that he didn't think he could carry on here. He confided in friends that he believed someone wanted him dead. He also told his mother and his girlfriend in Germany that someone was spreading vicious rumours about him, maybe old co-workers, but he never explained what the rumours were or why they made him fear for his life. The threat, whether it was real or in his head, was taking over. On Friday, July 5th, 1996, Blair's paranoia finally boiled over into action. He walked into his bank and withdrew nearly all of his savings. He then went to his safety deposit box and completely emptied it. He was now carrying thousands of dollars in cash, plus gold bars, platinum and jewellery. His next move was clear. He had to get out of Canada. That same day, he tried to cross into the United States by taking a ferry from British Columbia to Seattle. US immigration stopped him. Travelling alone with a huge amount of cash, he raised a lot of red flags. When officials found out he had prior convictions for drug and assault charges, something he'd lied about on his form, they denied him entry. Turned away, Blair only grew more desperate. He drove to a friend's house telling them, "I have to get into the US, someone is trying to kill me." He tried to give his friend the money from his safety deposit box, but the friend refused to take it. He spent the weekend in a state of pure anxiety, then left his mother's home on July 8th and vanished for a short time. In the early morning of July 9th, Canadian Border Patrol spotted Blair again. This time, he was trying to cross on foot. Officers noted he had fresh scratches on his hands and legs and matched the description of a man who'd allegedly stolen a car found nearby. Blair denied everything, and with no proof to hold him, he was released. Frustrated but not defeated, Blair changed his plan. He drove his own car to the Vancouver airport, but instead of flying, he rented a new car, a Nissan Altima. This time, when he drove to the border, he made it through. He was in the United States. His first stop was Seattle, but he didn't stay. He bought a one-way plane ticket to Washington, D.C., a flight clear across the continent. But as soon as he landed, he rented another car, a Toyota Camry, and started driving again. And this is where the story goes from strange to completely baffling. He drove about 500 miles southwest, an 8-hour journey until he reached East Knox County, Tennessee, just outside Knoxville. He had no friends there, no family, no connections whatsoever. Why he chose to flee to this specific, seemingly random location remains one of the biggest questions of the entire case. On the evening of July 10th, Blair's bizarre journey led him to a BP gas station in Knoxville around 5:30 p.m. He told the attendant he had a problem. The key to his rental car wouldn't work. A tow truck driver named Gerald Sapp came to help and immediately saw the issue. Blair was trying to use the wrong key. When Sapp tried to help him find the right one for the Toyota, Blair became weirdly uncooperative. Sapp later told detectives that Adams seemed nice but was in a hurry, and that while he didn't seem to be on drugs, his mind wasn't functioning correctly for some reason. With the rental agency now closed, Blair was stuck. Sapp gave him a lift to the nearby Fairfield Inn, the same hotel where his car was towed for the night. Hotel security footage shows us the final hours of Blair Adams's life. He looks agitated and paranoid, pacing back and forth in the lobby. Over 40 minutes, he walks in and out of the lobby 5 separate times before finally going to the front desk. He paid for a room with a $100 bill, but walked away without his change, leaving the room key on the counter. He was last seen alive walking out of the hotel at 7:37 p.m. He never once set foot in the room he paid for. 12 hours later, on the morning of July 11th, 1996, construction workers showed up to a job site across the interstate. In the parking lot of a country inn and suites that was still being built, they saw what they thought was someone sleeping. As they got closer, they realised the horrible truth. It was the body of Blair Adams. The scene was one of shocking contradictions. Blair was half naked, his shirt was open, and his pants, shoes and socks had been taken off and were lying near his body. One of his shoes was placed under his head, almost like a pillow, and scattered all around him was a fortune. There was nearly $4,000 in cash, American, Canadian and German currency. Nearby was his fanny pack, which held gold bars, gold coins, platinum and jewellery. His wallet was there, his travel receipts were there, the keys to the rental car were there, nothing was stolen. Robbery was clearly not the motive, which left investigators with a chilling question. If not for the money, why was he attacked? The autopsy revealed a violent, brutal struggle. Blair had cuts and bruises all over his body, including defensive wounds on his hands that showed he fought back. He'd been hit hard in the forehead with something blunt, like a club or a crowbar, but that wasn't what killed him. The fatal injury was a single, violent kick or blow to his stomach, so powerful that it ruptured his stomach. The official cause of death was sepsis, an infection from the contents of his stomach leaking into his body. The medical examiner also noted some injuries suggesting a possible sexual assault, though no conclusive DNA was ever found. The only piece of forensic evidence recovered was a single, long strand of hair clutched in Blair's hand, a silent testament to his final struggle. Investigators were stumped. They had a victim who travelled thousands of miles in a paranoid frenzy, a crime scene where a small fortune was ignored, and a cause of death that spoke to a personal, violent rage. A security guard at a nearby business reported hearing a scream around 3:30 a.m, but he thought it sounded like a woman. With no weapon, no witnesses, and a victim who had no reason to be in Tennessee, the case was, as one detective said, a difficult ride. Decades later, the death of Blair Adams remains one of the most perplexing cold cases in both the US and Canada. The heart of the mystery is a simple question with no simple answer. Was Blair Adams suffering from a severe paranoid delusion, or was someone really hunting him? You can find evidence to support either theory, which has created a fog of uncertainty that's never lifted. The first theory is that Blair was having a sudden and severe mental health crisis, maybe a psychotic break. His behaviour leading up to his death was, without a doubt, paranoid and erratic. He cut himself off from his AA support system. His vague talk of people wanting to kill him are classic signs of delusional thinking. His wild travel plan, drive, fly, drive again to a random city, looks like the actions of someone disorganised and not thinking straight. In this version of events, his death was a tragic coincidence. In his confused state, he might have started a fight with the wrong person, perhaps at a nearby truck stop known for prostitution, and the encounter turned deadly. His attacker, seeing his strange behaviour, might have fled without even realising the cash and gold lying on the ground. But there's a huge problem with that theory. A man who was terrified someone was trying to kill him ended up murdered just days later. That's not a coincidence you can easily ignore. Blair was carrying a small fortune, which could mean he was tangled up in something illegal, maybe a drug debt or a deal gone wrong, tying back to his prior convictions. This theory suggests his journey wasn't random at all, but a desperate attempt to shake off his pursuers. He might have thought Knoxville was a place he could disappear, and the fact that nothing was stolen, maybe the killer wasn't after money, maybe they were sent to deliver a brutal message, or maybe they were interrupted and had to flee. That single strand of hair found in his hand suggests he was in a close physical fight, but to this day, DNA testing on it has never found a match. A third possibility is that both are true. Maybe the threat was real and the terror of being hunted triggered a severe paranoid episode, causing his mind to unravel under the strain. So in the end, we're left with the same questions that have haunted this case for decades. What was the it he was too scared to tell his mother about? Was there a real person chasing him, or was it a phantom of a troubled mind? Why, of all places, did he go to Knoxville, Tennessee? Who did that single strand of hair belong to? And why would anyone beat a man to death only to walk away from a small fortune scattered on the ground? The strange and tragic journey of Blair Adams ended in that lonely parking lot, but the questions surrounding his death live on. Was this a case of a secret life catching up with him, or a mental health crisis that put him in the wrong place at the wrong time? What do you think happened to Blair Adams? Let me know your theories in the comments below. The only certainty is that a man who believed he was running for his life ended up running directly toward his death. If you'd like to support our channel, consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps us keep creating great content, and as a thank you, you'll get access to exclusive perks such as bonus videos, early releases, on-screen credits, and much more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.